Hi, welcome on today's webinar. Today we're going to look at Joe's pay. So I call this particular webinar Payroll II. So let's look at some of the facts with regards to Joe. Joe worked 45 hours this last week for us. He's paid $10 an hour per regular hour. He's married and he has 2 exemptions. How do we do his gross pay based on the Fair Labor and Standards Act? Well, the Fair Labor and Standards Act again says that anything less than 40 hours gets paid regular. So 40 hours at $10 an hour is $400. Anything overtime, in this case 5 hours in excess of 40, gets paid time and a half. So 10 times time and a half is 15 an hour. So 5 times 15 is 75. So Joe's total gross pay is $475. Now we need to look at deductions, and the first one is for withholding. Now it says Joe is married and has 2 exemptions. So for federal purposes as well as state, we need to go to a table. Now the federal one was $17 here was based on the tables in for wages paid through December of 2012, and the state I just made up. So how do we do it? Well, we've come to a table. Here it is, married persons, weekly payroll. We said married in 2, so we go down to, and we look over here at the wages. Here between $470 and $480, down to means that should be $17. Now I know you can't see that. Let me see if I can bring it. No, it's still not. You're still not going to be able to see that, but it's in the text. And then it says at least 470, but less than 480. So that means it's 470 to $479.99. If he earns $480, it would be one notch below. And in that case, he would have. Let me just double check. He would have $18 withheld. So, Joe has federal withholding, $17. Social Security at this time was 6.2%. Again, that may change over time, so that's $475 times 6.2%, $29.45. Medicare was at 1.45%, so to multiply that by the 475 is $6.89. As I mentioned, I just made up a number for state withholding, and I made up a number for union dues. Add them all up, that's total deductions of $67, and subtract that from the $475 means Joe has earned $408. So that's what his paycheck should be. In the general journal, we will post a journal entry to the ledger. It'll include Joe's wage of $475, so wage expense. Cash will be credit for $408, and these various deductions will be credited for $67. They said various deductions payable. That would be federal withholding tax payable $17, Social Security tax payable $29.45, Medicare tax payable $6.89, state withholding tax payable $10, union dues at $20.66. They didn't have the ability to, or board space, I should say, to write all that out. So you can refer to that in the book. So various deductions payable, that's to record Joe's pay. Now, if there's many employees, then we need to set up a payroll register. In a payroll register is where we record all the Joes, the Petes, the Marys, the Marthas, the Julies, the Toms that work for us in one particular register. And then we journalize the totals from that register. So we got an example of that in the text, and they show you one here on these 2 pages. Again, that you can't see that on the video, but as you notice, it's pretty large, right? And we only post the totals way down here at the bottom. We don't post all the individual data. So we have to add up the totals, and then we post the information that's necessary. We also have an individual employee's earnings record. Each individual, that means Joe, Mary, Pete, and so on, will have one of these records. So if we have 40 employees, there'll be 40 individual employee earnings records. So each individual pay is recorded in a separate record. It includes all the information of an employee, how much they earn, their deductions in total, their address, married or single, number of exemptions, everything. And then it helps on figuring out the employee's W-2. So at the end of the year, when we have to issue a W-2, we just take the numbers off of that form. And that form can look in many different ways. This is just one of them that they show in the text at this time, but there are many different forms that we can use. This is just an example. So, and again, I know you can't see that. Okay, so what today did we talk about? Well, we looked at Payroll II, how to calculate Joe's wage. We have to have a certain amount of information, like how many hours did he work, how much is he paid, is he married or single, and how many exemptions. His gross pay then is his regular times his regular wage. His overtime is his overtime hours. Add time and a half, that adds up to his total pay. Deductions, federal withholding, we have to look at a table, a weekly table, to determine what that is. Social Security and Medicare are the total pay multiplied by percentage. State withholding is done the same way as federal. And in union dues, we just made up an amount for that. You add up all the deductions, subtract that from the gross pay to get a net pay, and then we have to journalize that. In journalizing this, we debited wage expense for $475, which was Joe's total wage. The cash, which is this dollar amount down here, is a credit because that's how much cash has left the business and gone to Joe. And then there's various accounts here that are payable that we will credit that total $67. They didn't have the boardroom to write them all out, but it'd be federal withholding tax payable $17, Social Security tax payable $29.45, and so on. We also looked at if we have many employees, we need to record the payroll in a payroll register and then post off the bottom, the total, and in that each employee has an individual employee earnings record, which is used for many purposes. So that is all for today's webinar. I hope this helps you a little bit in payroll, just to help you, even if just navigating through the information itself. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.